Take a look at this hook turnbuckle for a second. Who would have thought it could be turned into a homemade soldering iron, right? It sounds hard to believe, but it's completely true. Alright then, let's get started and build it together. Here I've prepared a bolt, 1 nut, and 2 metal washers. I'll use them as connecting parts to join the handle made from the hook turnbuckle with the homemade soldering tip. The electrical wire I'm using in this project has an outer layer of insulation, while the core inside is made of many small copper strands tightly twisted together. This design makes the wire more flexible, easier to bend during installation, and better at carrying electrical current. I'll connect this end of the electrical wire to the round end of the hook turnbuckle. To make the real-world testing process smoother and less awkward to handle, I'll secure part of the electrical wire along the handle using insulating tape. This helps keep the wire neatly in place, prevents it from dangling around or getting caught while working, and also makes the tool more comfortable and safer to hold during use. With the remaining end of this electrical wire, I'll attach an alligator clip to make it more convenient when connecting to the positive terminal of the power source. This is a simple wire connector. I'll remove the metal piece and the two small bolts inside to reuse them as connecting parts between the threaded section of the bolt and the homemade soldering tip. As for the plastic housing, it's better to leave it out because it isn't suitable for this job. If I force it into the build, it could melt during soldering and directly affect the entire project. You definitely won't be able to hide your surprise when you learn that the idea for this homemade soldering tip came from poor slum communities. In places where tools are expensive and resources are limited, people learn to make use of whatever is available around them. One clever solution is reusing the carbon rod found inside certain AA batteries as a disposable soldering tip. Carbon can handle heat well, and it does not melt as quickly as ordinary soft metals. At the same time, it can transfer enough heat for small, simple soldering jobs. That makes it a practical option when proper tools are out of reach. Since it is intended for light, temporary use, it also fits the role of a one-time soldering tip surprisingly well. On top of that, reusing discarded battery parts helps reduce waste, gives old materials a second purpose, and reminds us that smart recycling can sometimes begin with the simplest ideas. And we're not stopping there. I'm going to make one more tool from a short piece of electrical wire fitted with two alligator clips on both ends. After that, it will be used to connect the negative terminal of the power source to the item that needs soldering. This connection is important because it helps complete the electrical circuit, allowing current to flow properly through the workpiece and return to the power source. The alligator clips also make it quick to attach, hold firmly in place, and keep the whole setup easier to use during testing. Next, I have a small battery. It is the most practical power source for this setup because it provides just the right amount of electricity to keep the project running steadily and reliably. During this testing step, if we want to judge the performance accurately, pay attention to these simple signs for me. The heat should be sufficient without being too intense, and it should join small metal parts together firmly without damaging them. If those results are achieved, we can conclude that the project is a success. So make sure to watch until the very end for the full picture. And there we have it, the project is complete. From a handful of simple parts that many people might ignore, we managed to turn an unusual idea into a tool that genuinely works. It may look modest, but the result speaks for itself. This build proves that creativity can often be more valuable than expensive equipment, and smart solutions are sometimes hiding in the everyday things around us. You do not always need fancy tools to make something useful. Sometimes all it takes is patience, curiosity, and the willingness to try. If you enjoyed this experiment, stay with me for the next one because more surprising ideas are still on the way.